is Ron Bennett.
Hello, Mr. Bennett?
Yes, this is Ron Bennett.
Yes, Mr. Bennett, this is George Saldana.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to figure out what's taking so long on this grievance. It's been over 2 years.
I don't know, because I'm not working on that one. That's what's been transferred to our lawyers.
Is there anybody that can tell me, I mean, what's going on? What's the process? Is there anybody that can...
Yeah, Zendia Thomas is the one that's working it. She could tell you. Has she not told you? Have you not had any responses to your inquiries?
No, sir, not in the last 6 months. Every month.
She hasn't answered your emails in the past 6 months?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, we'll get an email to you. But I know she's tied up right now in litigation, but we'll get an email response to you.
Okay.
But we have a lot of complaints, a lot of folks that once they file a complaint, they write us a lot and keep adding on to their complaints. And we got deadlines as of last year. So the cases that we got starting in fiscal year 23, the legislator told us to put priority on those.
Right.
So it makes everything wait while we work on those. So the people like you who filed yours when you did, we get to those when we get to them, because now we have deadlines. And we don't have deadlines on the ones you did, so we try to work them as fast as we can, but we're a tiny little agency. We have the entire state of Texas, and we have 4 investigators and 4 attorneys.
I understand that. I mean, I understand being behind the curve and stuff, but I mean, when we're already exceeding 25, 26 months on an investigation, and none of my witnesses have been called or been able to give their eyewitness testimony into this investigation, and it's frustrating that I've been kicked down the road, and I know you're not investigating this, but I mean, I'm putting stuff out there verbatim, reading straight out of the canons to these judges, and their responses are, no, we're not going to do that. And that's my last judge, when and I'm reading it from the canon, and she said, nah, we ain't going to do that. I'm just trying to see my boy. And this is...
Well, and I understand that, but I think that you know enough about how we operate that we're not going to be able to get you to see your boy. We have no authority. You filed a complaint with the disciplinary board, and we don't have that kind of authority.
Right.
We are not we're not a court. We can't change a judge's ruling. We can't order a judge to do something. And I think that's lost on a lot of the family law complaints. So I spend a lot of time trying to explain that to folks. And I want you to make sure you walk away from this conversation understanding that if we find that the judge did something improper and the commission says, hey, we're going to discipline this judge, that doesn't affect...
Yes,
Are you there?
Yes, sir. My call failed.
Okay, I don't know how much you heard of that, but I want to make sure you understand the commission's authority, because when it comes to family law complaints, I think that complainants confuse what our authority is, that we don't have the authority to affect what... You just told me what you're really trying to do, and I believe you. You want to see your kid, and I'm with you. And this commission has no authority to make that happen.
I completely understand that. I have done my due diligence in reading anything and everything for the last 6 years. And this is...
And I thought you knew that, but I wanted to make sure that I tell you myself so that there's no misunderstanding.
At this point, the flagrant attitudes that are coming from these judges is what's... They've done taken 4 years of my child's life from me by not following your rules, following the laws. It's rogue in there. And at that point, I understand you can't do anything, but once this commission comes down and says, hey, look, we were able to find this, this, and this as per Mr. Saldana's complaint, that's where I feel like, hey, look, I'm getting somewhere. Now I'm ready to go to the appeals court and say, not only have I been telling them this, but there was also findings. I'm talking to the Harris County DA, and he's telling me he's waiting on the SCJC because they have ultimate jurisdiction. And I'm telling them no. That's
who's waiting on the SCJC?
The Harris County District Attorney's Public Integrity Unit.
Well, he's mistaken, because we're not law enforcement. So, I would disagree with. I'm not saying he didn't tell you that. I'm just telling you that's two different tracks. So I don't know if he thinks there's a crime that's been committed. He can wait on us, but what the commission does doesn't have anything to do with that.
I explained that to him. He's a retired judge, I guess, Judge Bennett, or not Bennett. Judge, they call him Judge down there. He's Public Integrity Unit, and I talked to him last week, and I said, "What's going on?" He says, "Well, if you remember, Mr. Saldana, we said we were waiting on the SCJC," and I said, "Well, they're handling their own stuff. You're supposed to be handling yours." And,
if Harris County DA's office is looking into it, they're looking into a crime, and we're not law enforcement. We don't have that kind of authority. We're just a civil disciplinary board.
Yes.
The judge is never going to go to jail when we're done investigating. The commission can't put the judge in jail, whereas a DA's office can. So that's completely different. Yeah. And I'm not saying he didn't tell you that. I'm just telling you that doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, sir. And that's the problem is, I'm a retired fireman, so I know how to simplify things, and when we need a ladder thrown on the roof, there's a rescue or we have to do something. So I see things black and white, it's paramilitary organization. I get that, but if somebody's not doing their job, I can't get my job done. And that's where the accountability and the transparency comes from. Is I'm waiting on some of y'all to move these things so I can proceed forward. I have trial at the end of the week, or Monday next week. I have my trial that's been pending since 2020. No sense of due process whatsoever. It's just been kicked down the curb, and it's a financial harm to me. It's a financial harm to me driving to Houston, playing these games with rules that are set out by the SCJC, and then these judges are saying, "Nah, we ain't gonna do all that."
But again, whether the judge improperly, for instance, kicked people out of Zooms that should have been allowed to be on Zoom, that's not going to be a direct argument on you getting to see your kids. So I just want you to understand that there's that not everything is black and white, and there is a lot of subtlety there. So I just want you to be cognizant of that, because I can tell you what you want to hear and hang up, and then you can be upset with me later because I didn't tell you the truth. But I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes,
we're not here for what most people. This agency was never set up to do what most people come to us for. We're here to discipline a judge on their conduct. And people start kind of eking into the judge's rulings, and that's really not what we're here for. That's what the appellate courts are for. And I'm not very popular when I tell people that, but I'm being honest with you.
No, and I understand it because I've read it and I've researched it. I've talked to others. I know y'all know who I am and what my name is and what I do and all the degenerate stuff that y'all think I do. And it's honestly, some of the things that I have to do, have to circumvent because I'm unable. There's no mechanism of reporting to a district attorney, to a judge, to law enforcement. And so at that point, due process is lost because I can't even petition my state to bring a criminal complaint, much less tell a civil court judge my issues. And
I think just a word of advice. I think if you're pursuing due process violations, you're better off trying to do that through the appellate courts than through the DA's office. That's just been my experience.
Right.
I don't see people being, and I think you probably should concentrate your efforts there.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to go. I already told the judge I'm ready to take this to the appeals court and landmark it. Because at this point, all I'm looking for is a little bit of accountability, saying, hey, look, we put these rules out. Y'all are supposed to obey these rules. And if y'all don't obey these rules, then, repercussions are going to happen or sanctions are going to happen or something. And at 2 years, at 2 years, you're sitting here waiting for an answer.
I've already addressed that, and it's still the same situation.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And we could have been done with it a year ago. Could have been done with it 3 months into it, and it still may not be something that you can use to get your kid. That's all I want you to know. The rest of it, I'll just let you tell me you're right. We're taking too long. I'm not going to argue with you, but that's true. But I'm just telling you, that's not going to let you see your kids sooner. And I don't want you to have any misunderstanding there.
No, sir.
No matter how fast we work your complaint.
No, sir. I understand that. But I appreciate you calling me.
All right, sir. And we'll do what we can.
All right. Thank you.
But I wish you luck with that, okay?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.